Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we're going to be talking about Ripple and XRP, as well as the vast majority of crypto and finance. And I want to start off this video talking a little bit about ISO 20022 and really kind of tying it together with everything in this video. But this is probably one of the most misunderstood things around this space, around messaging and payment messaging. Everyone ties a lot of tokens to ISO 20022, XRP being obviously one of them. As we look at this, I do think that this is going to open the door for a lot of opportunity around crypto technology, and I will address that. I seen a post earlier today, and it was actually from ISO 20022, Let's Do It, and it's talking about ISO 20022 and cryptocurrencies themselves. And I have both posts open over here, and this is from June of 2022. What do you see? Making a Ripple XRP. It's kind of weird how they worded this. Cryptocurrencies participating in the ISO payment ecosystem for international transactions. What do you see down here? Until recently, the ISO payment system precluded cryptocurrencies from participating. The release of the digital token identifier standard transformed that, allowing cryptocurrencies to be recognized as legitimate currency under the ISO system. Cryptocurrencies accepted into the ISO payment system will gain the ability to be utilized in international transactions between financial institutions. As a result, ISO recognized cryptocurrencies will achieve higher trading volumes, a historical problem preventing cryptocurrencies from gaining widespread acceptance. Therefore, cryptocurrencies that participate in the ISO system will emerge from the cryptocurrency bubble victorious. I thought this was very interesting because as we really kind of look at what's happening around the cryptocurrency space, yeah, I do think that we are going to see a dot-com bubble-like burst event where we do see, you know, the major spotlighted cryptocurrencies out there that have real-world utility and the ones that are, you know, kind of around the ISO space, if you will. I believe that those are going to be the clear winners. XRP obviously being one of them, because again, I've talked about this many times in the past. The utility that XRP has, even without Ripple, is very large. But we do see cryptocurrencies that participate in the ISO system will gain widespread acceptance and differentiate themselves from the other competitors in the increasingly crowded cryptocurrency space. And it is only a matter of time until we see a major change happen around crypto, where we do see a massive widespread wipeout of these projects that are, you know, really providing zero value to the space. And once we see that, then we will see the major players rise. And I think that ISO is crucial for this. And the reason why is because I've shared this in a video, probably going back to around April or the beginning of May, where I did include this tweet in that video. And this is from Anderson. We do see Bob Way telling us why ISO 20022 migration for cross-border payments is a big deal for Ripple. Big key here is Ripple, not XRP. And yes, I do think that XRP will be exposed to ISO through Ripple. Read this carefully. Since he's an ex-employee of Ripple, he understands it very well. And by the way, when I say that XRP will be exposed to ISO, essentially, I think a lot of the cryptocurrencies that are participating in the evolution of payment technology, they will be exposed to it. Because ISO 20022 itself is, again, a messaging standard. It's not, you know, it doesn't pertain to crypto specifically, but it does open the door for a lot of innovation to happen. And I think that this here will kind of clear that up. What do you see? I'm not sure I could add a lot of insight. I'm sure things have changed a lot. But just for clarity, ISO 20022 is way bigger than you think, way bigger than you might think at first. It replaces the previous SWIFT standards MT and MX and adds a lot of other things. The big thing here also is the fact that ISO 20022 has been around since 2004. So think about it like this. It's been almost 20 years, right, in the making for SWIFT to actually start utilizing ISO 20022. And the question here is, you know, why has it taken this long, and what has been the plan around this? And in my opinion, I think that we are seeing the evolution of our payment infrastructure to a digital age. But also, we do see the reason this 20022 transition is extremely helpful to Ripple's bank sales team is this means that every bank is required to implement new technology. Banks hate to change an already working process. Change can introduce new problems, which means bankers get fired. Then over here, This is the number one reason most bank integrations don't happen. New system development is expensive and risky. Mistakes can generate bank losses or fines. Bankers get fired. The person you are negotiating with must have product budget, development budget, risk appetite. With a mandatory 20022 change happening, the person you are negotiating with only needs to have one product budget. Money for development has already been allocated elsewhere. Nobody gets fired for following a mandate. That makes the sale a much easier lift for Ripple. And also over here, that being said, bank software sales is still a hard process, especially with the SEC suit still adding FUD to the process. But even if banks wait for a settlement, their 20022 upgraded system becomes much easier for Ripple to integrate with them. The biggest impact is going to be that even smaller banks are going to be upgrading their systems. That creates a much larger pool of on-demand liquidity compatible banks. Smaller banks get the most benefit from on-demand liquidity. It lets them cut the larger correspondent banks out of their flow and cost. And the big thing about on-demand liquidity for XRP is not necessarily the value of XRP, but it's more so the floor that it will generate for XRP, meaning XRP will be sustained. The price will be sustained for XRP, which kind of gives us the only direction of being an up only, if you will, around XRP. Now, is that going to be 100% the way things work out? Not necessarily. We don't know, right? But one thing is that with on-demand liquidity, there really isn't someone selling on the other end. It's on-demand liquidity, meaning they are sourcing that liquidity instantly and utilizing it. So it will stabilize the price of XRP at a much higher price point, in my opinion. But also, it's very interesting, and we do see Anders. In a world of big banks eating up small banks, do you think that Bob's last comment about small banks not needing the correspondent banks is also part of the reason the big banks are putting out so much FUD against crypto? Absolutely. The cost of doing business. It's no wonder that banks have tried their best to keep competition out and keep innovation to a minimum. Cross-border payments are an extremely lucrative space, with B2B, business-to-business cross-border payments bringing more than $240 billion in revenue on $135 trillion in payments. Today, we know this is $156 trillion, projected to be about $250 trillion by 2027. Don't know if that's going to formulate in or not, but according to McKinsey and Company, B2B payments represent 80% of all cross-border payment revenue, of which banks own a 90% share. Up until now, there has been little innovation in the space because there has been little need for banks to innovate. And now with ISO 20022, well, guess what? That opens the door that there needs to be innovation. These banks need to innovate. They need to adopt new technology. I believe that this is where we see a wave of adoption. And it's going to be one of the largest waves of adoption that we will ever see in our lifetime. Because again, when is the next migration like this going to happen? We have no idea. But this has been 20 years in the making, since 2004. It's wild. Then also over here for the US, that's where FedNow comes in. Launches in July in EU. There is SEPA Instant. India has UPI. Brazil has PIX. Australia has MPP, etc. Then you could use a jurisdictionless bridge asset to bridge all domestic real-time payment systems, and cross-border payments are instant. This is again from Anderson. He's quoting Danny over on Twitter. What is the key? And I'm going to play this video here in a second. It's 2 minutes long. The key seems to be having a domestic real-time payment system that operates 24/7, 365, and settles in seconds. And also, there is wide-scale adoption of that payment system in the domestic economy. Same messaging format, also ISO 20022, to achieve straight-through processing. Of all the BIS Innovation Hub projects, I find this the most fitting to the above. Remember, this solution allows use of bridge currencies, as detailed in a report. Project Icebreaker, which I did make a video on, sets out to explore a specific way to interlink domestic systems, a so-called hub and spoke solution. A cross-border transaction is broken down into 2 domestic payments facilitated by a foreign exchange provider active in both domestic systems. Therefore, retail CBDCs never need to leave their own systems. And listen closely.
Building a modern, interoperable, international payment and settlement system, RippleNet, based on blockchain technologies. Our ultimate goal we call the Internet of Value, payments as easy as email for enterprises of all sizes and for consumers around the world. Obviously, we're not going to build that all by ourselves. It's an audacious goal. And in 8 years, we've learned a lot about where the challenges are, but also where the opportunities are. The good news? CBDCs can make domestic settlement faster, more reliable, and less costly, and that's important. You can't have good international payments without good domestic settlement. International payments are more important than you might think because they're just so inefficient today. They often simply don't take place. Most emails wouldn't have been sent by postal mail if we didn't have email. The communication simply wouldn't have happened. An enormous amount of valuable commerce simply doesn't happen because international payments are so slow, unreliable, costly, and complex. The opportunity is enormous. There's typically a domestic transfer on each end of any international payment. If those don't work well, the international payment doesn't work well. And equally importantly, if you imagine an international settlement system with great characteristics like speed, certainty, low failure rates, those benefits won't be seen by the endpoints of the payment unless the domestic components on both ends of the international payment have them too. Countries that don't modernize their domestic systems will not see the benefits of the revolution in payments taking place today pushed to the endpoints in that country. Working to build modern international payments, we've discovered that the biggest obstacle is very often the last hop, getting the funds to the payment recipient through the domestic payment system. But lacking connectivity to consumers, CBDCs won't solve the last mile problem that has made modernizing international payments so difficult. Fortunately, domestic systems are modernizing. SEPA, Singapore, others have very strong domestic systems. The US is implementing FedNow, though that won't be live for another few years. It's important that these payment systems are built on newer technologies that are compatible with each other. At a minimum, they won't be able to confer the benefits of improved international settlement to the payment's originator and recipient if they aren't modernized. At worst, those payments won't work at all.
And again, like, this takes time. This is from 2020. Improved domestic settlement comes first. What comes next is interlinking currencies and international cross-border settlement. The last mile. Again, this has been something that's been, in plan for so long. I'm sure that you guys probably remember the last mile page book that Ripple released. It was crucial to understand that, because what is happening here is an evolution that takes years. But when it happens, it's very large. And FedNow, we've been targeting FedNow for so long. We've been watching it becoming a big deal for so long. For an example, Cowboy Crypto actually quoted this over on Twitter. This was his post from August of 2022. Ripple partner Volante has their FedNow solution, which is ISO 20022 native with built-in real-time capabilities, over 300 APIs and services. The FedNow service is extensible to ACH, FedWire, Swift, cross-border, and TCH RTP. Now, a lot of people have said, this doesn't matter for Ripple, it doesn't matter for XRP, but it does, right? This is a big deal. And it's interesting because ISO 20022, Let's Do It also posted about this. FedNow's open architecture will enable banks to develop APIs to integrate with blockchain applications. If you scroll down here and you see this talks about real-time payments via FedNow have a wide range of use cases and beneficiaries. To illustrate, here are a few examples, and they do break it down. They even talk about liquidity gaps and things like that, and asynchronous payment initiation and settlement and stuff like that. But we do see FedNow's open architecture will enable banks and other financial institutions to develop APIs to integrate with FedNow. And here we have blockchain applications being mentioned as one of them. And they also do talk about AI, machine learning, and things like that. And it's potentially, right? And potentially blockchain applications, which again is crucial wording. But we do see FedNow will also become a useful resource for B2B payments, especially because of its use of ISO 20022 messaging standard. ISO 20022 is the key to it all. It's been 20 years in the making, so remember that. But also, Cowboy Crypto did post down here, which was his post from August talking about this. He also did include the video of Volante with FedNow and actually talks a little bit about this. I'll play the video. Hopefully YouTube doesn't mute it. I know that they've been weird with a lot of that, but listen closely.
Real-time payments are here to stay. But is your financial institution ready for this revolution? With Volante Technologies as your trusted payments modernization partner, you can easily meet this challenge to change. And now, Volante offers the easiest and quickest way to FedNow. You can have your 24/7 year-round service up and running without core changes, letting you...
And the crucial thing there is also no core changes, right? Not having to do really any changes to the core infrastructure. That's crucial for a lot of these banks. They don't want to change that. That's very, that's one of the biggest things that I've talked about around these banks. And that's even what Bob Way is saying here as well. These banks hate that. They don't want to change those things. So, having that no core change, it's crucial.
Focus on building better customer-centric services faster than your competition. Volante's FedNow solution is available both on-premise and as a service in the cloud. It's ISO 20022 native with built-in real-time capabilities and active-active deployment, a modern solution built for an ever-changing payments world. And Volante makes it easy for you to get to market quickly with over 300 APIs and services available right here, right now. Best of all, Volante's solution for the FedNow service is extensible to ACH, FedWire, Swift Cross-Border, and TCH RTP, all built to grow with your business. Volante's secure and reliable payment services keep yours and your customers' data private. They are ISO 27001, SOC 1, and SOC 2 certified. And did you know Volante processed the first US real-time payment, and today they handle millions of transactions per year? That's impressive. Start your FedNow journey with Volante today and gain the freedom to evolve fast. Visit volantetech.com/FedNow.
So obviously, Volante is a giant within the space. I've mentioned it many times. And in fact, Cowboy Crypto, shout out to Cowboy Crypto, he quoted my tweet. And he quoted my tweet from May 31st. And I did make a video on this. I said, if you follow Ripple and XRP, you might want to read the following. So we all know Volante, right? You know the same Volante that works with 125 banks, financial institutions, market infrastructures, clearinghouses, and corporate treasuries in 35 countries. Oh, also the same Volante that solutions and services process millions of transactions and trillions of dollars in value every single day, powering 4 of the top 5 corporate banks, 40% of all US commercial bank deposits, and 70% of worldwide card traffic. Well, this is what they have to say about Ripple in their guide to banks and financial institutions regarding ISO 20022 migration. What's even crazier is that Volante recently extended their collaboration with Citi for global ISO 20022 migration. The dots have been getting connected with Citi and Ripple ever since the Medico acquisition. I find this very interesting. And here we have, so first off, this tweet did absolute numbers. I'm so thankful to everyone that did retweet this. But here is the actual post from their website. When you see the movement towards ISO 20022 goes beyond just compliance with a SWIFT or market infrastructure mandate. The payments processing ecosystem is a diverse and ever-changing one. While there are major changes in how payments are going to be made occurring now, there are new entrants, ideas, and innovations that will shape the industry landscape for years to come. A lot can happen in 5 years after all. Sitting at the heart of that change will be ISO 20022. The standard will bring together disparate systems, standards, and methods from across the globe and tie them together. No greater example of this can be found than in that of Ripple. The perennial SWIFT competitor announced in May 2020 that it would join the ISO 20022 standards body as its first member based on distributed ledger technology. Absolute massive statement from Volante, talking about Ripple, and also even talking about DLT being crucial to this. As we look at what's happening around the evolution of payment technology and payments themselves, I do believe that Ripple will be a major player. I believe that we are seeing the groundwork being completed here. Again, I think that it all goes back to what we have been hearing around the last mile. I believe that it all goes back to the initial viewpoints and the statements made by Ripple, going back 5-10 years even. And I think today more than ever, we are seeing what's been in the works for, we're talking about 20 years now. 2004 is when ISO 20022 was fully created. It took 20 years for Swift to finally be a part of this. And what's even more wild about this is that it could not be more aligned with what's happening around digital assets, CBDCs, cryptocurrencies, stablecoins, you name it, right? All of this, in my opinion, is tied together. And again, I could easily be wrong, but in my opinion, from what I've seen around these documents, from what I've seen about the large names like even the Federal Reserve, the IMF, the World Bank, the World Economic Forum, the BIS, all of them in their documents include how disruptive and how crucial DLT, crypto, digital assets, all of them will be to the evolution and ultimately the new financial system. So with that in mind, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, Definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. So it's up to you all. Have a beautiful day, beautiful night, wherever you guys are on this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.